Welcome to the Time to Practice Summer Edition. This series is meant to give you a little weekly burst of inspiration, motivation, or food for thought about music learning and music practice for young musicians each week before we restart Season 4 in September. You'll hear tips from past expert guests, listeners, and even, I hope, tips from young musicians themselves this year, and I can't wait to share them with you. Whenever you listen to this episode, whether it's in the summer or throughout the year, I hope these episodes speak to you and give you actionable advice that you can use. It's always been my goal to keep this podcast free of outside ads, but I think it's also important to know that podcasts do have those ads to support the time and production costs of making episodes. So this summer, I think I'll just share some ways that you can support the podcast and keep it going. A few of them include sharing an episode that you enjoy with a friend, your colleagues, maybe your students and their families, submitting a tip for an upcoming summer episode through the link in the show notes. You can rate or review the podcast anywhere you listen, subscribe wherever you're listening to this episode so you're sure to hear upcoming episodes. And as always, anytime you buy one of my books or sign up for a workshop or purchase a past recorded workshop, those purchases directly support my work and help keep this resource going. On to episode 130. This summer, as we're talking all about practice tips and tips for motivation and keeping musicians interested and engaged in their practice sessions, I thought I would share a quick tip today that covers all of those bases in my mind. It may seem super obvious, but it's also one of the more important things we can do to help students' engagement, ownership, motivation, and more. And that is make sure your student, your child, has something they are working on that they love to play on their instrument. Something that makes them want to get to the instrument, get the instrument in their hands, or sit at the instrument and get started. Again, that might seem very obvious, but it may take some creativity and a little bit of extra support or extra logistics if that thing that gets your child super excited to start practicing is not something that's being regularly assigned by your teacher. For my own students, some of them are finding the number one most exciting piece of music that they're working on right now is something that I'm assigning to them. But others are finding side projects to work on and they're building their technique and their skills through a lot of assignments that I am assigning them and through the method we're working through. But then they're also finding additional supplementary things. I may or may not hear this music in our actual lessons, but I think it's very important that each student has something like this going on in their practice. And while I may wish that the assignments I am giving out to build technique and to build skills were the things that were always the most engaging to students, sometimes that's not the reality, and we can find a balance. What would they be super excited to play, even if no one told them that they, quote, had to practice? As I'm recording this in the summer months, I may see students less regularly than I do during the school year. And that's when I think it's especially important for them to have a personal project, something that they are personally excited about playing or learning on their instrument and that they're engaging with on a daily basis whenever possible. If you're a family parent listening to this, your teacher may have ideas that could help you and some resources to look for. Also, they may want you to do this sort of on your own. And I want you to know that there are a lot of resources out there where you can find music written for students by level. 8 Notes, spelled with the number 8, and then the word notes.com is one such resource. There are many, many more. I do think it's wise to ask your teacher for advice if something is in a key or at a level that your child could handle, even if you don't spend a lot of time on it in the lesson together. When I think through the students that I am currently working with, there's definitely a mix of movie music, classical pieces, renditions of Happy Birthday being learned by ear, and everything in between that students are working on. And sometimes I'll spend a few moments in a lesson hearing what they're working on or giving them advice if they feel stuck. And other times, students just bring these in periodically, maybe once they've polished them to sort of show off their work. This is the way that you, the parent or caregiver, can help support your child's journey is just kind of thinking through what is it that they're excited to play. And if it's nothing, maybe you could brainstorm together what they love to learn how to play on their instrument. Not only is this important for a student's motivation and ownership and a feeling that their music is really truly for them, It also helps you, hopefully, as the parent or caregiver, so you don't have to nag them so much to get into the practice room and play because at least there's something that is getting them motivated to start making music and work on it. We had recent guest Laura Nuremberg on talking to us about improvisation. I think this is another thing that could be very motivating for students and could fit the bill for something that is getting them excited or something that they love. I think especially this can be great over the summer or any time when we might not be able to see our teacher every single week regularly. Having this extra personal creative project can be a wonderful experience for music students. So that is my quick tip for you today. It's very short and sweet, but if you're a parent of a young musician, especially if your child is old enough to have a conversation with you about this or have their own favorite music and musicians, maybe you could ask them what music they are really excited about playing. Ask them what they're playing right now that they're excited about. And if they say nothing, that doesn't mean they don't want to play. It doesn't mean they shouldn't be playing their instrument or that they don't love it. It could simply mean that we could look for a musical project that personally excites them along with what they're learning to build their technique and their skills. If you'd love to reach out to me and tell me what you're working on, that's what's keeping your child engaged, I'd love to hear from you and hear what music is engaging students right now. My email is Christine with a CH at SuzukiTriangle.com. And I am still collecting practice tips for the rest of the summer. So look for that form to fill out your submission to be included in our episodes coming up. I would love to share your tip with the community if you're willing to share it. All right, everyone. Have a wonderful week. Happy practicing and take very good care.